Chapter 1: The Awakening. You open your eyes slowly under a ceiling of dark beams and feel the weight of furs and straw, recognizing the smell of ancient smoke and aged wood that welcomes you to this forgotten time. Your eyelids lift slowly, heavy from a deep and restorative sleep, as if you had slept for centuries. The first thing you notice is not the light, but the smell. It is a dense and comforting aroma of aged wood, of smoke steeped into the walls and dry straw. Your eyes adjust to the gloom, and you discover above you a low ceiling supported by dark oak beams, blackened by the incessant passage of time and the fire of the hearth. You move slowly under the weight of the blankets. You feel the rough but warm texture of the sheepskins and the thick weave of the wool that protects you from the morning cold. Beneath your body, the straw mattress creaks softly with every small movement, a rustic sound that confirms where you are. You find yourself in a medieval house, in a forgotten time, far from the noise of the modern world. Calmly, you decide to sit up. The air in the room is cold, crisp, and clean. As you exhale, you see how your breath forms a small white cloud that slowly dissipates in the stillness of the room. Your bare feet touch the floor of packed earth and wood, sending a shiver that wakes you completely, connecting you with the physical reality of this place. You walk toward the center of the room, where the embers from the previous night still glow faintly under a layer of gray ash. With slow movements, you stoke the fire, and the crackling of the wood as it catches breaks the absolute silence of the morning. You dress in simple and heavy clothes, a linen tunic, wool leggings, and a thick cloak that fits your shoulders. Each garment has a specific weight, a presence that makes you feel protected and enveloped. You head toward the solid wooden door, take the cold iron of the latch and pull it. The hinges groan with a deep and ancient sound. As you step out, the daylight greets you. It is not a bright sun, but a grayish and soft clarity, typical of deep winter. You are in the village, and it is Christmas. The landscape is covered by a layer of snow that muffles all sounds. The thatched roofs of the neighboring houses are white, and from each stone chimney a vertical column of smoke rises, straight toward the leaden sky. Everything seems to move at a slower pace, dictated by the cold and tradition. You walk along the main path of the village. The snow crunches satisfyingly under your leather boots. Around you, you see the villagers immersed in their tasks, but no one is in a hurry. There is a joyful solemnity in the air. You watch as they unload a wooden cart full of fir logs, the aromatic wood that will feed the great fires of the celebration. The smell of fresh resin mixes with the freezing air, creating a fragrance that cleanses your lungs and clears your mind. The feast preparations are underway. You pass near an open window and stop for a moment. From inside, the unmistakable aroma of freshly baked bread reaches you. Yeast and toasted flour. Someone is roasting meat with herbs, rosemary, sage, and thyme. It is a primitive and delicious smell that awakens your appetite. You see large barrels being rolled toward the communal hall, promising dark beer and spiced wine to warm the spirit when night falls. You continue your way until you reach the stone church, the motionless heart of the village. It is a solid structure, austere, built to last forever. You enter. The change in temperature is notable. The interior is cool, but smells of beeswax and ancient incense. Light filters through small windows, creating beams of dust that dance in the static air. You approach the altar, where a few candles flicker, illuminating carved wooden figures representing the Holy Birth. Here, the silence is dense, almost tangible. You sit on a wooden bench polished by generations of the faithful and simply breathe, letting the peace of the place settle in your chest. Stepping back outside, the afternoon begins to advance. You head toward the communal fire they have lit in the square. A group of elders and children has gathered there. You join them, extending your hands toward the orange flames that dance with strength. The stories begin. A deep and monotonous voice narrates stories of past winters, of ancient kings and miracles that occurred in the snow. You don't need to pay attention to every word. It is the tone of the voice, the rhythm of the narration that hypnotizes you. It is a sound that lulls, a melody of words that makes you feel part of an unbroken chain of humanity. They offer you food and drink. A wooden bowl reaches your hands, warm to the touch. It contains a thick stew of roots and meat, steaming. Upon tasting it, the flavor is earthy and deep, comforting. You accompany it with a piece of dense and dark bread. Then, a sip of hot wine with cinnamon and cloves. The liquid goes down your throat, radiating a gentle heat that expands from your stomach toward your limbs, relaxing every muscle in your body. While you eat, you listen to the Christmas myths whispered by the villagers. They talk about how tonight the animals can speak, although no human must listen to them. They talk of holly and ivy, plants that keep the green life when the rest of the world seems to sleep under the ice. They talk of the light that overcomes the darkness, of the sun that promises to return after the longest night. They are simple beliefs, rooted in nature and in hope, and listening to them, you feel they make all the sense in the world. Night finally falls over the village. The sky turns from a pearl gray to a deep blue, and then to absolute black, dotted by thousands of bright and distant stars, much clearer than you have ever seen them. The only light comes from the torches in the windows of the houses, small golden rectangles in the darkness. A bell tolls in the distance. It is a deep, metallic sound that vibrates in the freezing air. It is the call to midnight mass. You watch as hooded figures move slowly toward the church, carrying candles. You join the silent procession. Inside, Gregorian chant fills the stone vault. The deep and unison voices create a vibration that you feel in your bones. It is a moment of pure transcendence, monotonous and beautiful, where time seems to stop completely. There is no hurry, no urgency, only the eternal present of the ceremony. When everything ends, the silence falls over the village again, deeper than before. You return to your house. The fire has burned down to red embers that pulse softly in the darkness. The residual heat still remains in the room. You take off the heavy clothes, layer by layer, feeling the relief of freeing yourself from the weight. You return to your bed. The straw creaks again as it receives you, and you cover yourself with the furs and wool blankets. The weight of the covers is reassuring, like a firm embrace. You feel how the cold of the room contrasts with the heat you generate under the bedding. You close your eyes. The smell of smoke and old wood fills your senses again. You hear the soft wind brushing the thatched roof and the occasional crackle of the fireplace. You are safe. You are at peace. In this forgotten corner of the Middle Ages, you let yourself go, sinking slowly into a deep and dreamless sleep. Chapter 2: The Woolen Clothing. You rise in the frozen gloom and begin the slow ritual of covering your body with layers of rough linen and heavy wool, feeling each texture against your skin as you prepare for the day. Darkness greets you before the light. You haven't opened your eyes yet, but you feel the weight of the ancient world resting upon you. It is a comforting weight, dense, composed of layers of animal skins and coarse woolen blankets that have protected you during the deepest hours of the night. Your breathing is the only thing you hear, a slow and steady rhythm that condenses in the freezing air of the room and forms small invisible clouds that rise toward the dark wooden beams of the ceiling. You find yourself in that liminal state, floating gently between the deep sleep from which you have just emerged and the silent wakefulness of the medieval morning. There is no hurry. Here, time is not measured in minutes or seconds, but in the slow rotation of light and shadow. You feel the cold on the tip of your nose, the only point of your body exposed to the air of the room. It is a clean, sharp cold that smells of ancient stone, of cold ash in the hearth, and wood cured by the centuries. You move your legs slightly under the covers, feeling the rough but warm texture of the wool against your ankles. The heat has accumulated there, a small refuge against the winter that awaits outside the walls. Slowly, you decide it is time to begin the ritual. You pull back the blankets.
The air in the room hits your skin with a gelid frankness. You sit up in the bed, and the straw of the mattress creaks softly under your weight, a dry and rustic sound that seems to amplify in the absolute silence of the house. Your feet search for the floor. You do not touch polished wood, but irregular stone slabs, partially covered by dry rushes and aromatic herbs scattered days ago. The stone transmits its coldness through the soles of your feet, sending a shiver that wakes you completely, anchoring you in the present, in this body, in this place. You walk toward the wooden chest located at the foot of the bed. The wood is dark, heavy, carved with simple motifs that you can barely distinguish in the gloom. You lift the lid, and the scent of dried lavender and cedar wood is released, mixing with the smell of smoke that permeates everything in this season. You begin with the linen. You take the undershirt, a long and simple garment of off-white color. To the touch, the linen is cold, almost damp from the temperature of the room. You lift it and slide it over your head. The fabric falls over your torso, brushing your skin with a texture that is both soft and grainy. You feel the weave, the pattern of the hand-spun threads, each small imperfection that tells the story of the one who wove it. At first, the linen steals the heat from your body, causing your skin to prickle. You rub your arms slowly, generating friction, and little by little, the garment begins to warm up, becoming a second skin. It is a feeling of purity, a base layer that separates your humanity from the hardness of the outside world. You take a moment to adjust the sleeves, feeling how the cuffs tighten slightly around your wrists. Now, the hose. You search in the chest, and your fingers find the wool. It is much denser than the linen, rougher. The hose are a dark brown color, dyed with walnut shells or roots from the earth. You sit on the edge of the bed to put them on. You slide one foot in, then the other. The wool itches slightly, a constant sensation that reminds you that you are alive, that you are here. You pull the fabric up your legs, feeling how it fits your muscles, offering firm and warm support. You stand up to tie them, your fingers a bit clumsy from the morning cold.
You manipulate the leather and linen cords to fasten the hose to your undergarments. It is a mechanical process. Slow. You tie one knot, then another, making sure the tension is correct. There are no elastics, no zippers, only the physics of knots and the friction of natural materials keeping everything in place. The next step is the tunic. It is the main garment, the one that defines your silhouette in this world. You take it out of the chest and feel its considerable weight in your hands. It is made of a thick wool, of a deep and muted blue, the color of a winter sky just before nightfall. You hold it in front of you for a moment, admiring the density of the weave. It smells of lanolin, that fatty and natural smell of sheep that repels water and retains heat. It also smells, inevitably,
Of the smoke from the communal bonfire of the previous night, an aroma that has permeated the fibers and accompanies you like an olfactory memory of the community. You pass your head through the neck of the tunic. The heavy wool falls over your shoulders, covering the linen, covering the hose, descending to your knees. Immediately, you feel the difference. The weight on your shoulders is comforting, like a firm embrace. The tunic traps the warm air between the linen and the wool, creating an almost impenetrable thermal barrier. You smooth the fabric over your chest with open hands, feeling the roughness of the wool under your palms, a texture that speaks of durability and resistance. You look for the belt. It is a strip of old leather, tanned, that has seen many winters. The leather is stiff in some spots and flexible in others where use has softened it. You pass it around your waist, over the tunic. The sound of the leather rubbing against the wool is dull and raspy. You pass the end through the wrought iron buckle, a cold and black metal. You pull to cinch it. As you tighten the belt, you feel how the tunic gathers, how the weight is redistributed. The belt gives you a sense of containment, of being armed and prepared for the day. You arrange the folds of the tunic over the belt, creating a small bulge that will serve to store things or simply to keep your hands warm. Finally, the footwear. You sit down again. Your leather boots await you on the floor. They are simple, functional, with soles that are not very thick, allowing you to feel the ground you walk on. You slide your feet in, feeling how the leather, hardened by the night's cold, resists at first before giving way. You wrap your ankles, perhaps with additional strips of cloth or leather, ensuring that no snow enters, that the heat does not escape. You stand up, fully dressed. You remain motionless in the center of the dark room. You no longer feel the sharp cold of the air. You are wrapped in layers of history, in materials that come from the earth and from the animals that share this world with you. You feel the brush of the linen against your neck, the pressure of the belt at your waist, the weight of the wool on your shoulders, and the firmness of the boots on your feet. Every movement you make produces a soft sound, the creak of the leather, the rubbing of wool against wool. It is a symphony of silent textures. You walk toward the hearth, where the embers of the previous night still emit a dying, reddish glow under a layer of gray ash. You crouch down, and your clothes move with you, stiff yet flexible. With an iron tool, you stir the ashes, searching for the latent heat. The movement is slow, almost hypnotic. There is no need to rush. The day is barely being born, and you, protected by your clothing of wool and linen, are an indissoluble part of this frozen dawn. You stay watching the faint glow, feeling how your body, now protected, begins to generate its own heat, ready to face the day, ready to leave the safety of the stone and step back into the snowy village. But for now, there is only you, the textures on your skin, and the deep silence of the medieval house. Chapter 12. Tales by the Fire. With a full stomach, you settle near the fireplace while a deep voice narrates ancient legends about saints and winter miracles, and your eyes follow the dance of shadows on the ceiling. With the last taste of malt ale fading on your palate and the stew's warmth settling in your stomach, you feel a pleasant heaviness begin to claim your limbs. Dinner has ended, but the night barely begins its slow journey toward dawn. Without need for words, diners rise from oak benches with paused movements, almost choreographed by centuries of custom. Sound of wood rubbing stone floor is soft, muffled by dry straw mats covering high traffic zones. Guided by primal instinct, you head toward great fireplace dominating north wall. Immense stone mouth, blackened by countless winters' smoke, where thick pine oak logs consume with deliberate slowness. Someone placed sheepskin's coarse wool cushions in a semicircle front hearth. You drop onto one. Wool rough to touch but comforting. Hard floor feels solid, stable under body. Stretch legs toward heat, feeling fire temperature traverse boot soles, warm, tired feet. Air here smells different rest house. Smells boiling resin, ancient ash, sweet earthy aroma, wood turning charcoal. Watch flames, not furious aggressive, dance, hypnotic cadence, licking log bark releasing small sparks rising chimney draft like ephemeral stars seeking night sky. Around, others settle. Dinner silence transformed expectant murmur, very faint. No strident laughs or discussions. Moment calm. Elder, face furrowed, wrinkles looking ancient road maps, sits low stool, edge alight. Profile outlines against orange glow, becoming timeless silhouette. Memory guardian, story weaver. Hear throat clear, deep raspy sound like stones rolling river bottom. When starts speaking, voice low, deep hum seeming born house soil itself. Doesn't look at you, anyone particular. Milky eyes fixed at embers, reading events about to narrate.
In nights like this, when snow covers paths, world holds breath, veils become thin. Tells legend a saint walked barefoot ice, carrying nothing but an iron lantern, faith. Describes scene mentally while narrates. Visualize a dark forest, trees laden white, branches bowing winter weight. Elder voice, monotone, lacking urgency, making incredibly relaxing. Each phrase soft wave reaching shore, retreating. Narrates how, according ancients, deep hour Christmas Eve, stable animals acquire human speech gift. Asks imagine old ox and gray donkey, chewing hay in darkness, conversing whispers of light's birth. Peaceful image, no conflict story, only wonder, sacred stillness. Imagine animal hot vapor in cold stable air, clean straw smell, closed doors security. Eyes heavy with sleep and heat, part fire rise toward ceiling. Dark wooden beams cross room side to side, holding house history weight. Firelight projects long dancing shadows on wood and plaster. Watch shadows stretch, shrink, imitating narration rhythm. One shadow looks tall tree swaying wind, another hunched traveler silhouette. No fear forms. Night companions, benevolent specters born light matter. Follow movement particular shadow, dark spots sliding gently master beam, disappearing corner gloom, reappear flame strokes fire. Slow dance, silhouette theater mind, half asleep, interlaces elder words. Narrator changes story barely realizing, transitions fluid, autumn, winter passage. Now speaks wild hunt, but not threat, procession spirits cleaning sky, sweeping clouds leaving star way. Voice lowers tone more, becoming vibrant purr. Speaks leaving milk bowl threshold, peace offering transit other side. Feel heat cheeks, delicious contrast, cold memory entering. Body sinks deeper skins. Wall stone backrest, though hard, offers firm support. Feel anchored, protected. Medieval house, thick stone mortar walls, fortress against the elements. Inside here, time seems stop. No tomorrow. Pending tasks. Biting cold. Only exists moment. Voice. Fire. Shadow. Elder pauses long. No one interrupts. Only hear log snaps split, releasing golden spark torrent. Sound own breathing becomes slow, deep. Someone other side fire shifts, adjusting cape. Rustic fabric sound strangely loud in stillness. Resumes word speak bees, says holy night, bees hives hum praise psalm. Imagines small golden insects, grouped heat, vibrating unison wooden box darkness. Image warm, golden, vibrant, makes feel part immense life web, sleeping, waiting under winter mantle. Narration seeks no climax, surprising moral. Litany memories, reaffirmation world order sense, even year longest darkness. Words miracle, snow, light, home, repeat rosary beads, weaving invisible blanket shoulders. Eyelids weigh tons, every blink takes longer open. Ceiling shadows blurry, losing defined forms, becoming gray amber clouds. Elder voice seems to recede, speaking other side deep valley, know only meters away. Concentrate heat radiating fire. Feel dries clothes dampness, penetrates bones. Ancient heat, same fire warmed generations people same place, listening variations same stories. Small link, unbroken chain humanity seeking refuge flame. Tale drifts, sacred trees, oak, holly. Green persisting, everything else dies. Elder describes intense red holly berries against white snow. Life, symbol, winter sleep. Visualize red color, small, bright, focal point, white mind, immensity. Little by little, distinction, narrator voice, and own thoughts begins to dissolve. Did it say wind sings ancient names, or imagined? Doesn't matter. Day logic gave way sleep logic. Feel safe, feel full, feel peace. Fire lowered intensity. Now bed pulsing red embers, covered fine white ash layer, like snow on lava. Room glowed dim, intimate. Ceiling shadows quieted, static, vigilant. Elder voice fades slowly, ending tale not an abrupt finish, fading, leaving last phrase floating in smoke mystery charged air.
And so light returns, always returns. Silence following, not empty, full resonance. No one moves, no one once breaks spell. Stay there, watching embers, feeling sleep wrap completely, preparing final rest before midnight mass, perhaps. Simply sleep, winter sun touch windows. Center world by fire, all well. The elder's last word hangs floating in the air, suspended over the heads of those present like a wisp of smoke refusing to dissipate. There is no applause, nor exclamations, nor questions, only a dense and respectful silence settling over the great hall, occupying the space previously filled by legends of animals and ancient spirits. You feel the weight of history add to the weight of dinner, the weight of warm wine, and the weight of your own eyelids. The narration has ended, but the atmosphere created wraps you in an invisible blanket of antiquity and belonging. You look toward the fire. What an hour ago was a vigorous dance of tall, crackling flames has now transformed into a geological landscape of glowing embers. They are like small mountains of gold and ruby, breathing slowly, pulsating with a deep red light that no longer illuminates the room, but simply accompanies it. The heat is still there, but changed. It is no longer aggressive heat forcing you to turn away. Now it is soft, constant radiation settled in your bones and benchwood, promising to last until dawn. You observe the slow movement of others. No one hurries. In this world, this time, hurry is a concept vanishing with sunset. You see figures rise with ritual slowness. Hear rough wool rub wood, tunic whisper, dull sound leather boots, stone slabs, scattered straw. Closing moment house, open, alive day, folds onto self, protect sleeping belly.
See house mistress, matronly, serene figure, move side tables. Carries dark metal candle snuffer. Follow gaze, hypnotized task repetition. Approaches tallow candle, cried wax iron candelabra, hours. Flame small, bluish base, yellow tip. Soft, affectionate movement. Woman covers flame, metal cone. Count mentally. 1, 2. Lifts tool, light gone. Instead, thin white smoke thread borne ascending spiral, dark ceiling beams. Smell arrives instant later. Acrid, distinctive, extinguished tallow smell. Aroma strangely comforting. End day smell. Smell telling brain nothing more do, nothing watch, nothing wait. Woman advances next candle. Again movement. Again small light death. Room darkening stages. World shrinking, reducing circle increasingly narrow around chimney. Corner shadows lengthen, stretching lazy cats, gaining ground, devouring furniture, tapestry contours. Hear heavier sound, other side room. Housemaster managing windows. Turn slowly, observe. Windows small, narrow, openings in thick stone walls, designed keep heat in, winter out. Day allowed gray, pale Christmas light. Now must be sealed. See large calloused man hands grasp solid wood shutters, thick planks, oak darkened years of smoke. Hear iron hinge groan, sharp brief sound breaking monotone silence. Man pushes wood leaf, then other. Night sky rectangle, perhaps solitary star shining, snow falling, intuition, disappears sudden. Clack. Wood against wood sound definitive. Then bolt noise. Iron bar, wooden crossbar slides place. Rock, clack. Security sound. Gesture, outside world ceases exist.
freezing wind howling softly, snowy village, distant forest, empty church, all left out. Inside, only hot air, smoke humanity smell, absolute protection stone walls. Darkness advances. Only couple candles left lit near the door leading to upper rooms, agonizing chimney glow. Feel heavy. Limbs seem made soft lead. Relaxation deep, barely feel body contact seat. Watch servants finish gathering last pewter plates, moving habit efficiency, noiseless, helpful ghosts vanishing gloom. Someone approaches main door, hall entrance. Oak door, thick, ancient tree trunk, reinforced black iron bands. See lower great bar, huge timber crossing door, locking walls. Timber falling place sound reverberates chest. Grave deep sound vibrating floor under feet. House now fortress, nothing enter, nothing disturb rest. Security sensation total, primitive absolute. No complex locks or alarms. Simple physics wood stone interposing you night. Last candle extinguished. Moment eyes seek desperate reference. Darkness not total immediately. Pupils dilate seeking light memory. Little by little, reddish ember glow chimney becomes only vision source. Dim subterranean light painting thin contours blood copper edges. Ceiling beams black ribs overhead. Tables long sleeping silhouettes. People dark lumps moving rest places. Stand up. Body responds, slowness, moving underwater. Walk, resting place. No need see clearly, feet seen no way. Guided time memory not yours, recognize intimately. Stone floor cold, rush mats, skins, cushioned steps. Hear house breathing. Wood settles, dry clicks, temperature drops imperceptibly. Outside, wind tries find crack, whistling very softly, fails. Safe. Reach bed, simple, austere, cozy. Mattress filled fresh straw, aromatic herbs, dried lavender, perhaps rosemary, creaks softly sitting edge. Dried herb smell mixes smoke, creates a soporific perfume, natural, clean. Remove boots, relief immediate. Feet, tired walking frozen village, thank freedom. Strip outer cape, heavy coarse wool, keep linen underwear, soft, warm skin contact. Lie down. Straw molds body, not modern bed uniform softness, texture, character, holds firmly. Cover sheepskin, heavy, dense, then thick wool blanket. Blanket weight comforting, crushes gently mattress, immobilizing, forcing surrender rest. Stare up, almost absolute darkness. Chimney embers so dim, barely project shadows. Room submerged deep, velvety black. No street light filtering windows, no electronic blink, no electric hum. Middle Ages darkness, physical entity, thick substance filling room, entering lungs, slow breath. Darkness, no fear, healing darkness, erasing fatigue, resetting mind. Listen. Listen, silence. Not empty silence. Silence full, latent life. Hear rhythmic breathing, someone sleeping near hearth. Hear cloth rustle. Hear last log crack, break, fall ash, releasing small spark rain, unseen, imagined. Eyes close. No difference open, closed. Outside darkness, inside darkness, united. Feel day closed, definitely behind. Preparations, mass, food, tales, folds stored memory chest. Only exists moment. Only exists heat accumulating skins. Only exists stone stillness. Night fallen heavy world. You under, protected, hidden.
Ready, let go, slow, dark, deep sleep current. All well. House watches. Fire sleeps. You finally let go. Chapter 14. Return to sleep. You sink back into the bed, feeling the residual heat of the day fade, and your mind slowly shut down, lulled by the deep silence of a Christmas centuries ago. You find yourself standing before the bed in the almost total darkness of the alcove. The only guide your eyes have is the recent memory of the furniture arrangement and the faint, almost imperceptible reddish glow filtering through the cracks of the wooden door, coming from the last embers of the fireplace in the main hall. Your body feels heavy, a sweet and pleasant burden pulling your shoulders down. It is the weight of a long day, full of winter cold, intense flavors, ancient chants, and whispered stories. Slowly you sit on the edge of the bed. The mattress, filled with fresh, tight straw, crunches softly under your weight. It is not the sterile silence of a modern mattress. It is an organic, rustic sound, reminding you that you are resting on nature itself. You run your hand over the surface of the sheets. They are thick linen, rough to the touch, but clean, and resting on them are heavy wool blankets and tanned furs promising refuge against the freezing air of the room. You lift your legs and turn, sliding under the covers. The first contact with the sheets is cold, a brief shock making you shrink instinctively. But you know it is only a matter of moments. You settle in, finding your body's shape in the straw, creating a hollow to your measure. You cover yourself to the chin. The weight of the blankets is considerable. In this time, cover is not light or synthetic. It is mass. It is density. You feel that physical pressure anchor you to the mattress, immobilizing you in a comforting way, as if the bed itself were hugging you to protect you from the night. You close your eyes. The air in the room is cold, crisp, and still. You can feel it on the tip of your nose and on your cheeks, the only fragment of your skin exposed to the house's atmosphere. Every time you inhale, fresh air enters your lungs, purifying you. Every time you exhale, you feel your own breath create a small cloud of invisible heat in front of your face. Little by little, your body heat begins to radiate and becomes trapped under the wool and skins. A microclimate is created, a bubble of perfect temperature contrasting deliciously with the room's cold. Your feet, still holding the memory of the stone floor and village snow, start losing that frozen tension. You feel a soft tingling as blood circulates freely, warming your limbs, finger by finger. The house is silent, but it is not an empty silence. It is the dense and deep silence of the Middle Ages. No appliance hums, no distant traffic, no constant electric murmur in walls. Absolute, geological silence, heavy as stone. However, paying close attention, tuning ear darkness, house breathes. Hear oak beams settling overhead. Wood, old wise, contracts night temperature drop, emitting sporadic dry clicks, familiar sounds not scaring, confirming refuge solidity. Here, far away, winter wind brushing exterior stone walls, grave, constant whistle wrapping dwelling, knowing wind out there, seeking entrance not finding, makes feel infinitely safer inside, fortress impenetrable. Outside world, dangers mortal cold excluded. Mind starts reviewing, no order, concert, last hour's fragments. See candlelight flashes reflected church chalice. Hear priest monotone, reassuring Latin echo. Feel spiced wine taste throat, honey sweetness, clove spice, sensory memory numbing senses. Remember elder voice fire,
telling remote stories, words weaving dream net around. Images blur, can't hold, dissolve, smoke, room darkness. Breathing slows, deeper. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Chest rhythm sinks night calm. Feel muscles surrender. Jaw tension disappears. Shoulders drop definitely. Hands resting stomach blankets, open gently, losing force. Darkness behind eyelids denser, textured. Velvety darkness, no blink lights, distractions. Darkness necessary, true rest. Type rest modern human forgot. Feel small time immensity, giving peace. Nothing due, no urgencies, no clocks marking seconds. Night long, extending ocean tranquil dark. Until sun decides rise, rooster sings distant coop. World belongs sleep. Sink deeper straw. Bed smell wraps. Dried herbs, ancient lavender sheets insect repellent. Wood smoke impregnated fiber house. Archaic aroma, safety aroma. Feel floating. Distinction body bed fades. Don't know skin ends, blanket heat begins. Only tranquil consciousness, suspended history moment past, now soul reality. Nose cold, last physical world connection. Everything else, heat, softness. Mind shuts down. Not sudden. Candle consuming slowly, wick falls. Liquid wax flame drowns, smoke sigh. Thought stops. Memory stops. Time stops. Let go subterranean sleep current, dragged depths dreamless rest, restorative total, safe, warm, peace. Medieval Christmas watches sleep, stone wood house mounts guard around, perfect silence, centuries wait wool blankets, finally sleep. Chapter 5. The Path to the Chapel. You walk slowly over the crunchy snow, following the trail of footprints toward the distant and rhythmic sound of an iron bell calling the faithful to morning prayer. Your leather boots, hardened by the cold of the previous night, sink softly into the layer of virgin snow covering the path. You feel the initial resistance of the icy crust, followed by that dull and satisfying crunch, similar to that of breaking freshly baked bread, which resonates under your feet with every step. It is the only nearby sound, a rhythmic and personal cadence that accompanies you as you move away from the great hall. You advance slowly. There is no hurry in this ancient world. The air is crisp, so pure that as you inhale it, you feel it awaken your lungs, sending a stream of icy clarity through your chest, contrasting pleasantly with the residual heat you keep under the heavy layers of wool and fur of your cloak. Before you, the path is drawn barely as a suggestion between the wooden and thatched cabins. The snow has erased the defined edges of reality, softening the corners of the houses, rounding the fences, and covering the woodpiles with white, fluffy caps. Everything seems to be asleep, suspended in a time without hours, wrapped in a grayish and pearly light that announces the morning without yet imposing it. Then you hear it. Far away, floating over the roofs and slipping between the bare branches of the oaks, the sound arrives. It is a low, metallic, deep note, the tolling of an iron bell. Dong. The sound is not loud nor shrill. It has traveled through the density of the snowfall, losing its sharpness along the way, reaching you as a soft vibration that is felt as much in the ear as in the ground. It is a patient call. You stop for a moment to listen to the echo die in the valley. The silence returns, absolute and heavy, like a blanket falling back over the earth. You wait. You know another will come. You breathe, and you see your breath form a thick white cloud before your eyes, a small personal mist that slowly dissipates in the static air. Dong. There it is again. The second tolling marks the rhythm of your walk. You resume your pace, synchronizing your movements with that ancestral call. It is the voice of the village, the iron heart beating from the chapel, summoning souls to begin the day not with work,
but with stillness. You walk, following the trail of other footprints that have begun to appear on the main path. You are not alone in this morning pilgrimage, though the mist and snow make you feel like a solitary traveler in a dream. You see, in the distance, dark figures emerging from the doors of the cabins. They are shadows hunched under thick cloaks, silhouettes moving with the same reverent slowness as you. No one speaks. The cold freezes words before they can be uttered, and respect for the early hour keeps mouths closed. There is only the sound of footsteps, multiplying softly, a symphony of crushed snow joining the monotonous song of the bell. You observe the details of the path as you approach the center of the village. A dog, curled up next to a barrel, lazily lifts its head to watch you pass.
But it does not bark. It simply exhales a sigh of vapor and hides its snout between its paws again. An icicle, long and crystalline like a glass dagger, hangs from the eaves of a barn, capturing the meager light of dawn and reflecting it in a bluish glint. The bell rings once more, closer now, more tangible. You can hear the nuance of the metal, the imperfection in the casting that gives it a hoarse, ancient voice. Dong. The path widens and begins to ascend slightly. Your legs feel the change in incline, your calf muscles working beneath the wool of your leggings. The snow here is more trodden, compacted by the early risers who preceded you, forming a path of white, slippery ice that forces you to walk with greater caution, conscious of every movement, present in every second. Through the morning mist, the shape of the chapel begins to materialize. It is not an imposing cathedral, nor a structure of ostentatious grandeur. It is a solid building, low and sturdy, built with gray river stones and wooden beams darkened by centuries. Its roof, pitched to bear the weight of winter, is covered in a layer of snow so perfect it looks sculpted from marble. The structure emanates a sense of permanence. While the village cabins seem organic and ephemeral, susceptible to fire or rot, the chapel feels eternal, anchored to the earth with a gravity that transcends the seasons. It is a stone refuge in a world of wood. You approach the entrance. The outer wall of the chapel is cold to the touch, its rough stones covered in a thin layer of frost that shimmers like diamond dust. Small windows, narrow as arrow slits, let out a warm, flickering glow from within. It is the light of candles, a liquid gold struggling against the grayish blue of the exterior, promising a warmth that is not just physical, but spiritual. The smell changes here. The pure, crisp air of the snow now mixes with denser, more human aromas. You smell beeswax burning, a sweet and earthy scent. You smell old incense steeped in the wood of the door, a fragrance of resin and spices that transports you to memories of other winters, of other mornings identical to this one. You also smell damp wood and wood smoke floating low, trapped by the atmospheric pressure. The bell gives its final toll, a final note that remains suspended in the air, vibrating in your chest, indicating that the moment has arrived. The sound fades, leaving a silence, even deeper than before, an expectant silence. You are in front of the chapel door. It is made of solid oak, reinforced with black iron bands, worn by countless hands that have sought comfort or routine throughout the years. There is no bolt. The house of faith is always open. You stop for a moment before entering. You feel the cold biting your cheeks, the moisture of the snow on the edge of your cloak, the stillness of the world at your back. It is a moment of transition. Outside, winter dominates with its indifferent and frozen beauty. Inside, the community awaits you, the warmth of gathered bodies and the whisper of ancient prayers. You look at your hands, gloved or hidden in your sleeves, and feel the peace of repetition. There are no surprises today, no shocks. Only the path you have traveled, the snow you have stepped on, and the door that now stands before you. With a slow and deliberate movement, you reach out your hand toward the dark wood. You feel the ancient texture beneath your fingers, rough and real. You push gently. The door gives way with a low groan from the hinges, a familiar sound that welcomes you. The journey has ended. The sanctuary awaits. Chapter 6. Stone and Incense. You cross the threshold of the church and are enveloped by a dense atmosphere of stale incense and beeswax, while the scant light filters through stained glass windows that barely manage to color the darkness. The heavy oak door closes behind you with a dull thud, low and final, leaving outside the whistle of the freezing wind and the crunch of boots under snow. The sound reverberates for an instant in the gloom, toward the high stone vaults, before dissolving into the almost absolute silence that inhabits this place. Immediately, your senses are assaulted, not with violence, but with a slow and enveloping insistence. The air in here is different. It is an air that seems not to have moved in centuries, dense and laden with memory. The first thing you notice is the smell. It is a complex fragrance, deep and earthy. It smells of stale incense, that resin burned hours or perhaps days ago, whose smoke has adhered to the porosity of the granite walls. It smells of beeswax, sweet and thick, emanating from the hundreds of candles that have burned and been consumed in the wrought iron candelabras. And beneath all that, you notice the damp smell of cold stone and the scent of wet wool from the coats of the villagers who entered before you. It takes your eyes a few moments to adjust to the darkness. Outside, the snow reflected the meager light of dawn with a piercing whiteness. In here, a sacred gloom reigns, designed for reflection and the resting of the eyes. You move forward slowly. Your steps on the stone floor slabs are barely a whisper, muffled by the solemnity of the enclosure. The floor is irregular, worn by generations of faithful who have traveled this same path, seeking refuge, seeking answers, or simply seeking the warmth that you now also pursue. You feel through the soles of your footwear the solidity of the earth, the immutability of the structure surrounding you. You look up, high, high above. The darkness thickens between the arches of the vaults, where shadows play at hiding. A few high stained glass windows, narrow as arrow slits, allow the grayish light from outside to filter in timidly. It is not a bright light, it is a milky clarity, faint,
that barely manages to color the darkness with tones of cobalt blue and dull blood red. The saints and martyrs depicted in the glass are only blurred silhouettes, silent observers of your arrival. In the beams of light that manage to pierce the stagnant air, you see thousands of dust motes dancing. They swirl and float in an endless dance, suspended in time, as if they were small fragments of this place's history refusing to settle. You watch their hypnotic movement for a few seconds, breathing calmly, letting your heart rate synchronize with the stillness of the temple.
You walk down the central nave. At your sides, in the side aisles, the darkness is deeper, dotted only by the flickering of votive candles. Small orange flames that tremble with imperceptible air currents, casting long, dancing shadows over the polychrome wooden statues. The statues have serene faces, gazes lost in the infinite, with hands worn by the touch of thousands of supplicating fingers over the years. You head toward one of the dark wood pews, polished by use. The wood is old, hard, and noble. As you slide your hand over the backrest, you feel the grain, the imperfections, the knots that tell the life of the tree it was long ago. You sit down. The wood creaks slightly under your weight, a familiar and welcoming sound, like the greeting of an old friend. Around you, other villagers have already taken their seats. They do not look at one another. Each is immersed in their own inner world, wrapped in their cloaks and blankets. You see the mist of their breath rising like small clouds of personal incense, disappearing into the cold air of the nave. Although the place protects from the biting wind, the temperature here remains low, a coolness that keeps the mind awake but the body lethargic. You settle into the pew, feeling the hardness of the backrest against your spine. It is a slight discomfort that paradoxically helps you relax, to release the tension in your shoulders. You close your eyes for a moment. The silence is not total, it is full of textures. You hear the rustle of wool fabric as someone adjusts their coat. You hear a distant muffled cough. You hear the occasional crackle of a candle consuming an impurity in its wick. And in the background, deep in the background, the sound of the wind that continues to lash the exterior walls, powerless against the strength of the stone. You open your eyes and fix your gaze on the high altar. It is far away, at the end of the nave, elevated upon marble steps. There, the concentration of candles is greater, creating a focus of warm, golden light that inevitably draws the eye. The golds of the altarpiece shine with an ancient glow, not ostentatious, but dignified and reserved. The smoke from the incense is denser there, rising in lazy spirals toward the ceiling, carrying with it silent prayers or simply nothingness. There is no rush. Here, time seems to stand still. There are no clocks, no urgencies, no pending tasks. Only this moment of waiting exists, of being present in the gloom. The atmosphere is so dense that you feel you could touch it, as if the air had weight, as if it covered you with an invisible, heavy blanket that invites introspection. You breathe deeply. The air tastes of dust and holiness. You feel how it fills your lungs, expanding your chest, and how upon exhaling, a part of your weariness leaves it. The repetition of this act, inhaling, exhaling, becomes the center of your attention. You let yourself be carried away by the monotony of the surroundings. Your eyes trace the stone columns that support the ceiling. They are immense trunks of rock, cold and eternal. You think of the hands that carved them, of the chisel striking the stone centuries ago,
of the sound of construction that has now been replaced by this reverent silence. The stone absorbs the sound, absorbs the light, absorbs time. You feel small before the magnitude of the architecture, but it is a comforting smallness. You do not need to be big here. You only need to be. The light from the stained glass windows changes imperceptibly as the sun, outside, attempts to rise in the cloudy sky. A slightly more intense ray hits a dust particle, making it shine like an ephemeral star before disappearing again into the shadow. You follow the trail of light until it is lost on the worn floor. A sense of absolute security envelops you. The walls are thick. Nothing bad can enter here. The outside world, with its cold and its dangers, has been suspended. Here there is only stone and incense. There is only wax and wood. There is only silence and waiting. You realize that your breathing has become slower, deeper. Your body's rhythm has adapted to the rhythm of the church. Your hands rest on your lap, still, relaxed. The cold of the wood of the pew begins to be warmed by your own body heat. You feel rooted to the seat, part of the furniture, part of the motionless history of this sanctuary. You do not expect anything spectacular to happen. You do not seek a revelation. Simple existence in this space is enough. Beauty resides in the austerity, in the lack of unnecessary ornaments, in the rawness of the natural materials that surround you. It is a quiet beauty, boring in the best sense of the word, a beauty that does not demand your attention, but rather allows you to rest within it. You watch a candle that is about to go out in a side chapel. The flame flickers, grows small, struggles to maintain itself, stretches, and finally extinguishes, leaving a thread of gray smoke that joins the heavy atmosphere. No one moves to replace it. It is the natural cycle of things in here, to burn, to illuminate, to be consumed and return to darkness. You feel heavy, but not from fatigue, but from a deep calm that settles in your bones. The atmosphere of stale incense and beeswax gently lulls you, keeping you in a liminal state between wakefulness and sleep, a state of floating consciousness where thoughts are slow and worries dissolve like smoke in the heights of the vault. You are here. You are safe. And for now, that is all that matters. Chapter 7. The Monotone Chant. You remain standing in the cold nave, letting yourself be carried by the hypnotic and repetitive cadence of Latin chants gently bouncing against the high stone arches. There is no hurry here. Time seems to have stopped at the precise instant the first deep note left the priest's throat, floating toward the dark ceiling beams. Your posture is relaxed, though you stand upright or perhaps lean slightly against the dark wooden back of the bench in front of you. The wood is polished by centuries of hands that, like yours, sought a point of support amidst the sacred vastness. You feel the smooth, worn texture under your fingertips, a cool, solid surface anchoring you to reality while your mind begins to float. The silence reigning moments ago has been replaced by a deep vibration. It is not strident music, nor even melodic in the modern sense. It is a low hum, a unison of male voices starting low, very low, like the rumble of the earth itself. You listen. The voices rise together, without instruments, without adornments. It is plain song, monotonous and perfect. The Latin syllables elongate, stretching like thick threads of honey. You do not need to understand what they say. The meaning of the words is lost, or perhaps matters not at all. What matters is the sound. The open, dark vowels roll through the cold air of the church. The sound travels. You can follow its invisible trajectory. It leaves the choir up front, where tunic silhouettes barely move under the trembling candlelight. The sound advances down the central aisle, grazing the stone floor slabs, worn and uneven. Then it ascends. It climbs the gray stone columns, licking the cold rock until it reaches the vault, high up, where darkness is almost total. And from that height, the sound returns to you. It falls like a fine, invisible rain. It is a soft echo enveloping your shoulders, caressing the back of your neck. The acoustics of this place were designed hundreds of years ago for this, so a single voice seems like an army of angels, or so a whisper becomes a physical presence. You concentrate on the repetition. It is always the same structure, an intoned phrase, a brief pause where only the crackle of candles and the collective breathing of villagers is heard, and then the response. The rhythm is slow, terribly slow. It is the rhythm of deep breathing, of a heart beating at rest. You inhale when the singing ceases. You exhale when the singing begins again. Your chest synchronizes with the liturgy without effort. You watch the dust. In the amber beams projected by larger candles, small motes dance. They seem suspended in air, moving lazily to the beat of sound waves.
They rise and fall, spin on themselves, golden and tiny, hypnotizing you with their microscopic dance. Your eyes defocus slightly, watching them. The main voice, deeper than the rest, sets the tone. It is a hoarse, ancient voice, full of texture. You can imagine the throat producing it, vocal cords vibrating with solemn slowness. Other voices join this one, softer, creating a cushion of simple harmony, a perfect fifth resonating in your own sternum. You feel that vibration inside you. It is a physical sensation, warm and heavy. Sound enters not just through your ears, it enters through your pores, through the soles of your feet touching the stone floor, through your hands resting on the wood. You become part of the church's resonance box. You are as much part of this building as the statues of saints watching from side shadows, motionless and serene. The chant continues. It is cyclical, like the seasons, like day and night, like waves of a calm, distant sea. Dominus vobiscum. Your eyelids feel heavy. It is a pleasant weight, like a thick wool blanket covering your eyes. You are not exactly sleepy, but in a peace so deep it resembles sleep. It is holy lethargy. Nothing bad can happen to you here. The outside world, with its snow, freezing wind, and pending tasks, has ceased to exist. Only this womb of stone and sound exists. You look around without moving your head, just sliding your gaze. Other villagers are like you. Some have eyes closed, faces illuminated from below by small candles held between work-cracked hands. Others stare into the void, lost in the same cadence rocking you. There is communion in this holy boredom, unity in immobility. You are all sharing the same moment, breathing the same air charged with incense and burnt wax. The smell is sweet and acrid at once. Incense, burned for hours, has impregnated every corner. It is a dense aroma, seemingly thickening the air, making sound travel slower, muffled, soft. Repetition becomes a mantra. You no longer distinguish the beginning or end of verses. It is a continuous river of sound. You imagine floating in that river. The water is dark and warm, carrying you downstream, very slowly, without jolts. You realize your shoulders have dropped a little more. Tension you didn't even know you held in your jaw has dissolved. Your tongue rests gently on your palate. Your knees are loose. Your whole body has surrendered to gravity and music. Candlelight flickers. An imperceptible draft makes flames dance, and shadows on walls stretch and shrink rhythmically. Column shadows lengthen on the floor like giant protective fingers. Everything is soft. There are no sharp edges in your vision, everything blurred by golden gloom. The chant changes slightly. Now it is a psalm. When voices hush to take air, the chord keeps sounding up there in the roof darkness for 3, 4, 5 seconds. You count those seconds mentally. 1, 2, 3, and before the echo dies, voices return. It is seamless weaving. Your mind, which at first perhaps wandered to dinner preparations or the cold outside, is now completely empty. It is a blank canvas on which chant paints abstract, slow shapes. No thoughts, only sensations. Cold on nose tip, heat in body center, sound in ears, gloom in eyes. It is an ancient form of meditation. You let go. You sink deeper into the feeling of being present. The chant seems to lower in volume, or perhaps it is you drifting away to a deeper place within yourself. Voices now sound as if coming from behind a curtain, muffled, distant, but incredibly sweet. It is a lullaby, a deep masculine lullaby, sung by stone and history. You stay there, standing, motionless, breathing dust and incense, while Latin wraps you, protects you, and prepares you slowly, very slowly, for the rest to come. The monotone chant is the only thing existing, and it is all you need right now. Chapter 8. Observing the village. Leaving Mass, you walk the paths of frozen mud, observing the minute details of medieval life, the steam of a horse's breath, smoke from chimneys, and the silence of closed workshops. The echo of Latin chants fades slowly behind you as you cross the stone threshold. The heavy oak door, studded with black iron, closes with a dull, deep, definitive sound, trapping incense and human warmth inside the temple. Now you are outside. The air greets you with a sharp, cold blow to the face. It is clean air, sharp as an ice blade, contrasting violently with the dense, charged atmosphere you just left. You breathe deep. Air enters your lungs and awakens your senses in a primitive way, reminding you of the physical reality of this ancient winter. You adjust the thick wool cape on your shoulders. The fabric is rough, heavy, smelling slightly of dampness and sheep, a comforting scent wrapping you like a second skin. You begin to walk. There is no hurry. Here, time is not measured in minutes or seconds, but in the slow rotation of light and shadow. Your leather boots, hardened by use and cold, strike the ground. The path under your feet has changed. What days ago was soft, sticky mud has now transformed into a hard, sculptural, treacherous surface. You look down. You observe deep ruts, carriage wheels left marked in the earth before the freeze. Now they are stone scars, ridges of frozen mud, shining with a grayish, matte tone. You walk carefully, feeling through your boot soles the terrain's irregularity, seeking flat zones to avoid twisting an ankle. The sound of your steps is crunchy. Frozen earth groans softly under your weight. The village stretches before you under a tin-colored sky. It is not night yet, but light is weak, a milky, diffuse clarity casting no defined shadows, wrapping everything in bluish melancholy. Everything is calm. It is a different calm from the church. There, silence was reverence. Here, silence is rest. It is the absolute pause of work. You pass the blacksmith's workshop. You stop for an instant, just to observe. Large wooden doors are closed and secured with a bar. The rhythmic tapping of hammer against anvil is not heard, nor the hiss of hot metal plunging into water. The forge chimney is cold. Through a crack in the wood, you imagine the interior. Tools hung in order, bellows deflated like a lung at rest, coal dust settling slowly on the beaten earth floor. The workshop's silence is dense, heavy. Absence of noise is as palpable as noise itself. You keep walking. The path snakes between low houses.
Dwellings seem to sprout from the earth itself. Walls are wattle and daub or timber-framed, whitewashed in ochre and white tones, looking gray now from lack of sun. Roofs are high, covered in dense, compact straw. You observe roof edges. Moisture from the previous night has frozen on straw tips, creating small ice crystals. Not quite icicles, but delicate frost, like sugar scattered on the roof. You look up. From every chimney, without exception, a smoke column rises. Smoke does not disperse. Due to lack of wind and intense cold, columns rise straight, vertical, like gray pillars holding the cloudy sky. It is a hypnotic spectacle, a forest of silent smoke connecting homes with the firmament. The smell reaches you. It is the perfume of the village in winter. It smells of burning oak wood, an acrid yet sweet aroma. It smells of peat smoke, denser and earthier. It smells of cold itself, having a metallic scent, of snow not yet fallen but waiting in clouds. To your right, next to a woven branch fence or palisade, you see a horse. It is a draft animal, large, with dark, thick fur, prepared to withstand the elements. It is tied to a post, waiting patiently. You approach slowly, not wanting to disturb its peace. The animal does not move. Only its eyes, large, black and moist, follow you lazily. You stare at its breathing. Every time the horse exhales, 2 jets of white steam exit its nostrils. Steam is dense, warm, vital. It expands in frozen air, forming an ephemeral cloud floating a second before dissolving into nothingness. It is a constant rhythm. Inhalation, pause, exhalation, white cloud, dissolution. It is life manifesting in its simplest form, heat against cold. The animal shakes its head slightly, making halter-fitting sound with a metallic, soft jingle, a solitary sound traveling far in still air. You continue your march. Your hands inside cape folds begin to feel numbness from cold. You rub fingertips against coarse wool. Cold sensation on face is constant, tightening cheek skin, but not unpleasant. It makes you feel present.
It makes you value warmth you know you will find soon. You observe minute details you would normally overlook. You see a wooden bucket forgotten by a well. Water inside has frozen, forming a perfect ice disk, smooth as a dark mirror, trapping inside a dry autumn leaf that did not rot. You see a cat curled into a gray fur ball on a windowsill, using residual heat filtering through wooden shutters. It does not move when you pass. It doesn't even open eyes. It is part of landscape, part of stillness. You see village textures, old cracked wood of posts silvered by years of sun and rain, dark green moss, almost black, growing at stone wall bases, velvety and damp. There is no one else on the path right now. Other villagers leaving Mass have dispersed, absorbed by their own doors, returning to home refuge. You are alone on the road, accompanied only by boot crunch on frozen mud.
Solitude does not weigh on you. On the contrary, it lightens you. It is ancient solitude, shared with stones and bare trees outlined like black skeletons against horizon. Branches of an old elm stretch over path, motionless, like fingers stiffened by winter. A raven, perched on highest branch, watches you. It is a black ink stain on gray canvas. It does not croak, just is there, vigilant, mute witness of your transit. You feel your walk rhythm synchronize with environment latency. Steps are slow, deliberate. You are not simply going point A to B. You are traversing space existing between sacred and domestic. Village seems to hold breath. You know behind thick walls is life, gathered families, fire, prude preparation. But out here, all that is secret. Windows closed, sealed against cold. Only very occasionally do muffled sounds escape. Distant laugh, pot bang, brief cry of child quickly comforted. Sounds reaching you dampened, as if coming from another world or distant memory. Cold begins to soak deeper, piercing first clothes layers. You feel freshness in thighs, shoulders. Time to seek shelter. You look forward. In distance, you see smoke of your own destination. Promise of fire burning only for you and yours. Walk becomes automatic. One foot front of other. Crunch, silence. Crunch, silence. Observation of minute details. Horse steam, bucket ice, vertical smoke has emptied mind of remaining worry. World complexity reduced to textures, temperatures, simple sounds. No politics, no distant wars, no tomorrow. Only exists this hard mud path, cold air in nose, absolute certainty winter owns outside world. You feel small under gray sky, but also eternal, as if walked path 1,000 times before, in 1,000 different lives. Landscape repetition lulls you. Gray and brown monotony is balm for tired eyes. You are arriving. Outside world stays behind, frozen in static beauty, while you prepare to cross another threshold, leaving ice silence to enter home murmur.
You return to shelter and enter the kitchen, where the air is thick and warm, laden with the aroma of rare spices, roast meat, and dried herbs hanging from beams. You push the heavy wooden door, feeling the roughness of the grain under your fingers numb from the cold. The wood creaks, a deep, ancient sound, yielding to your weight. As it opens, winter remains behind, cut off abruptly by an invisible but solid wall, the heat. You cross the threshold and close the door behind you. The iron latch falls into place with a dry thud, sealing the outside world, shutting out the freezing wind and the white silence of the snow. Here, in the heart of the house, the silence is different. It is not a void, but a fullness. You are in the kitchen. The change is instantaneous. Your eyes, accustomed to the gray, flat light outside, take a moment to adjust to the golden gloom of this space. The air here is not light, it has weight. It is a thick, almost palpable atmosphere, wrapping you like a heavy wool blanket. You breathe deep, and warm air fills your lungs, thawing your chest from within. The temperature is high, a comforting contrast against your face skin, still tingling from frost's kiss. You feel tension in your shoulders dissolve, melting under the influence of this thermal refuge. The center of all is the hearth, an immense fireplace, so large you could stand inside it, dominates the back wall. Inside, thick logs of oak and beech burn with slow, steady intensity. Not a wildfire, but a tamed, worked fire, designed to last hours. Flames lick blackened wood, sending waves of orange light dancing on stone walls and packed earth floor. You approach a few steps, magnetically attracted by the glow. Sound here is a symphony of transforming things. You hear wood crackle, occasional pop of trapped resin releasing bright spark toward chimney. You hear deep rhythmic gurgle of large black iron cauldrons suspended over fire, hanging from thick chains, oscillating imperceptibly, containing stews cooking since dawn. Liquid inside boils with thick sound, bloop, bloop, releasing vapor columns rising in lazy spirals toward ceiling darkness. You look up. Ceiling beams are whole trunks, darkened by decades, perhaps centuries of smoke and soot. From them hangs an inverted forest, bunches of dried herbs tied with hemp cords, swaying gently with hot air currents. You see grayish green of sage, woody branches of rosemary, and thyme bunches looking like small witch brooms. Heat rising from fire hits herbs, forcing them to release essential oils. Not a fresh garden smell, but concentrated, earthy, potent aroma. Smell of summer captured and preserved for winter darkness. But more smells are here, layers and layers of fragrances saturating dense air. Smells of roast meat. On iron spit, large meat piece turns slowly. Fat melts, forming shiny drops falling on hot embers. Each drop causes brief hiss and puff of aromatic smoke mixing with ambient. Primitive, deep smell, awakening ancient hunger in stomach. Reminder survival and pleasure intimately linked. And over that base of smoke, meat, herbs, float exotic notes, invisible jewels of kitchen, spices. You detect sweet, spicy aroma of clove, trace of cinnamon, warm and dusty, suggesting hot wine or fruit cakes. Note pungent touch of nutmeg and ginger. These aromas are luxury, brought from distant lands you never saw, traveling thousands of miles to end here, in this kitchen, on this winter night, to comfort your spirit. You walk slowly through room, boots tapping gently on hard floor. Movement around you, but tranquil movement, almost ritualistic. You see figures working in the kitchen, no rush in gestures. Woman kneads dough ball on sturdy wooden table, worn smooth by use. Hands move with hypnotic rhythm, stretch, fold, press. Flour floats in air like stardust in light beam filtering from high window. Sound of palms against dough is soft, puff, puff, constant heartbeat in room. Another figure stirs cauldron with wooden spoon long as arm. Movement is circular, eternal. Metal of spoon scrapes gently iron pot bottom. Everything here has texture.
You run hand along table edge, wood warm to touch, impregnated with oil and years of service. See coarse ceramic bowls stacked on shelf, pewter jugs reflecting firelight opaquely, wicker baskets full of onions with crisp golden skin and winter apples, small and wrinkled but full of sweetness. You stop near fire, extending hands toward flames, heat intense, almost spicy on cold fingers. Observe own hands, illuminated by orange glow, seeing color return to skin, veins dilating, accepting hearth energy. Cauldron steam condenses on small windows, fogging thick glass and deforming view of night outside. No longer matters what is outside.
Village, snow, starry, cold sky, all belong to another world. Your world now reduces to these 4 stone walls, this spice-laden air. You feel heavy, but pleasant heaviness, gravity of approaching rest. Heat makes you sleepy, slows thoughts. No urgency. Food cooking, fire fed, roof solid. You lean against wooden column, letting weight rest. Watch shadow dance on walls, shadows of cooks, herb bunches, hung tools, lengthen and shrink with flame flicker, telling mute stories on stone. Fire sound fills ears, natural white noise erasing worry. Crick, crack, fat hiss, stew bubbling. Inhale deeply once more. Aroma so complex, almost taste in back of throat. Clove, smoke, sage, meat, rising bread dough. Smell of safety, smell of abundance amidst winter scarcity. You stand there, simply existing in kitchen warmth. Need do nothing, just observe, just feel, just breathe this ancient, nourishing air.
Time seems to stop here, trapped in firelight amber, suspended between hunger and satiety, between journey cold and night rest. You are home, and warmth embraces you, promising that for tonight, winter cannot touch you. You can see the scars in the wood, small knife cuts, marks from hot vessels, smoothness on edges where many hands have rested generation after generation. The table is empty now, waiting. It is a blank canvas of dark wood, ready to receive the necessary order before the chaos of celebration. You watch a figure move toward it. Movements are unhurried, deliberate. No rush in this task. It is a domestic ritual requiring precision, an act of service transforming simple feeding into a ceremony of belonging. In hands, a stack of pewter plates. Metal is gray, opaque, with subtle, dull shine barely reflecting candlelight and fireplace. Pewter is heavy, cold to touch, absolute contrast to heated kitchen air. You observe closely placement of first plate, situated at head of table, place of honor. Sound is distinctive when metal touches wood. Dry thud, solid, no resonance. It is an anchor defining where house hierarchy begins. Figure moves right, measuring distance with gaze, measure needing no rulers or strings, only muscle memory of doing it 1,000 times before. Second plate descends, another soft thud. Pewter rests on oak grain. You notice plate imperfections, not royal china or polished silver ornaments. Daily use utensils, slightly dented edges, scratches telling story of daily survival in frozen valley. Firelight dances on gray metal surface, creating long shadows stretching over table. One by one, plates occupy place. Placement methodical,
left, right. Perfect symmetry created along table. This order calms you. In outside world, where winter is wild, unpredictable, cruel, inside here, on this board, everything has exact spot, everything under control. Hierarchy clear, visible in metal arrangement on wood. Now, watch bread brought. Not tender bread imagined, but dense, dark loaves, hard crust. Ancient breads, baked with purpose to serve almost as vessels. Smell of toasted yeast and whole flour reaches you, mixing with wax candle aroma. Figure takes one loaf, crust rough, harsh like stone. With large knife, cuts into thick sections. Knife sound through crisp crust is loud, dry crunch breaking monotonous room silence. Crumbs fall on wood, small golden snowflakes on dark oak. Each bread piece placed next to pewter plate, or sometimes under it. Other times arranged as base on which juiciest meats served, so dense crumb absorbs broths and sauces. Edible architecture. Observe bread texture under dim light. See salt grains on crust, dough density, food promising satiety, weight in stomach to fight night cold. Table coming to life, though no one seated yet. Cups added, some carved wood, simple dark goblets camouflaging with the table. Others thick ceramic, coarse earth colors, placed right of each plate, forming irregular line of heights and shapes, but maintaining strict position order. Here hollow sound of wood against wood. Rough scrape of ceramic dragging inches to align perfectly. No fine cutlery, only some bone or worn wood-handled knives placed. Blade metal dark, wrought iron, sharpened so often, blade curved inward. Knives deposited carefully, point facing table center. Gesture of peace. Signal that arms, even smallest domestic ones, rest now with peaceful purpose. Share bread. Lost in movement repetition. Plate, bread, cup, knife. Plate, bread, cup, knife. Hypnotic. Eyelids heavy, lulled by preparation cadence. Table, once wood void, now map of community inhabiting house. Each spot represents person. Each pewter plate waits for soul seeking winter refuge tonight. Imagine hands soon occupying spaces. Rough, working hands, cold from day labor, seeking food warmth. Watch imaginary imperfections smoothed. Person in charge passes hand over bare wood between plates, removing invisible dust mote, ensuring surface immaculate. Finally, jugs placed. Large-bellied, stout jugs, heavy clay. Empty for now, but presence promises arrival of ale or spiced wine. Situated center, reach of all, but equidistant, like watchtowers and pewter and bread landscape. Candlelight, now more numerous on table, reflects in jug glaze. Everything ready. Table waits in silence. Image of austerity and abundance simultaneously. No gold, no silks, no fine crystals. Only wood, metal, clay, bread. Earth materials, durable materials. Feel deeply connected to scene. Image repeated for centuries will continue repeating. Set table is promise. Promise hunger satiated. Promise winter loneliness broken by company. Observe ensemble one last time from distance. Grayish pewter shine. Golden brown hard bread. Deep oak darkness. Hearth fire throws last loud snap. Orange light bathes table, making pewter look for second old noble silver. Scene freezes in retina, perfect in simplicity. Feel absolute calm, seeing order restored, preparations concluded. Tables served, stage ready for actors to take seats. And you, watching from warm gloom, feel there is also place, physical or spiritual, waiting for you at that ancient wooden table. Everything in place. Time seems to stop, suspended in anticipation of first bite. Breathe deep, filling lungs with air charged with culinary promises, and wait. Simply wait.
Chapter 11. The Austere Feast. You sit down to eat surrounded by others, slowly savoring the dense texture of stews and the earthy taste of ale in an act of quiet and necessary communion. The figure setting the table steps back into the shadows, leaving the stage ready. The invitation is unspoken, born not of a verbal order, but of the aroma now flooding the room and the slow movement of the other occupants of the house. You rise from your corner, feeling the wooden floor creak slightly under your boots, and join the silent flow of people approaching the great oak plank. There is no rush. Hunger here is not a desperate urgency, but an ancient constant respected with patience. You take a seat on one of the long benches polished by generations of use. The wood is hard and cool at first, but soon begins to absorb your heat. Beside you, shoulder to shoulder, sit others. You feel the warmth radiating from their bodies through layers of thick wool and linen. It is a proximity that in another context might feel invasive, but here, under smoke-darkened beams and facing the winter waiting outside, feels like a necessary refuge, a human wall against the cold. In front of you, the pewter plate shines with a matte glow, diffusely reflecting the fireplace flames. Someone deposits a large black iron pot in the center of the table. The metal is heavy, rough, emanating heat that hits your face gently, charged with humidity. Steam rises in lazy, white, dense columns, dancing before dissipating in the ceiling gloom. You breathe deep. Air fills with deep terrestrial smells. Smells of onions roasted slowly until sweetness caramelizes. Smells of roots, turnips, and carrots keeping earth flavor for months. Smells of cured meat softened after hours of patient cooking over embers. And, underneath all, unmistakable aroma of dried herbs, thyme, rosemary, pinch of sage, releasing essential oils into thick broth. With measured, almost ceremonial movements, food is served. Wooden ladle pours stew onto your plate. Sound is wet and heavy, not light soup, dense pottage, amalgam of ingredients fused until indistinguishable from each other. Observe texture, dark, intense brown, almost like fertile autumn field soil. Take spoon, handle carved wood, soft to touch, worn by countless hands before yours. Sink it in stew, feel resistance of meat and vegetable chunks. Bringing first spoonful to mouth, heat intense but comforting. Don't chew fast. Here time dilates, savor density. Meat falls apart in tender strands, covering tongue with salty, smoky flavor. Vegetables lost hardness, transforming into soft paste, providing subtle sweetness, balancing meat's strength. Simple meal, lacking exotic spices or unnecessary adornments, but possessing brutal honesty. Tastes of survival, tastes of home, tastes of security, of full stomach one more night. Reach hand toward table center. Round, dark loaf rests there.
Crust thick,
almost black in spots from wood oven heat. Don't use knife. Take piece and pull. Crust crunches, dry, brief sound, before yielding, revealing inner crumb, dense, grayish, made of rye and barley. Bread touch rough. Hold moment, feeling weight, solidity. Then dip in liquid remaining on plate. Bread absorbs broth avidly, swelling, softening. Eating it, mild acidity of sourdough cuts stew fat, cleaning palate, preparing for next bite. Slow rhythmic cycle, spoon, bread, chew, swallow. Hypnotic rhythm shared with all sitting at table. Look around, stopping on no one particular. Faces illuminated from below by tallow candles distributed on table. Shadows long and deep in eye sockets and under cheekbones, giving all diners solemn, almost statuesque aspect. Few words exchanged. Dominant sound, soft tintinnabulation of metal on metal, wood scraping, paused breathing of people eating. Not uncomfortable silence, silence of satisfaction and respect. No need to fill air with empty conversation when main task nourishing. In shared act, deep communion. All participating same resource, sharing same source heat and life. Feel part of larger organism, cell inside village body, functioning perfect sync. Front of plate, thick ceramic cup, coarse unglazed outside, soft on lip rim. Lift it, contains ale, not crystal bubbling drink other times, opaque liquid, turbid amber color, served room temperature, underground cellar temperature. Drink long draught, liquid thick, almost nutritious itself. Deep toasted grain flavor, touch bitter herbs stinging gently throat, residual malt sweetness. Not cold, allowing all flavor nuances flood mouth. Going down esophagus leaves heat trail different from stew. Heat settling in chest, radiating to limbs, relaxing muscles, releasing shoulder tension. Feel eyelids become slightly heavier. Combination nearby fire, hot food, dense ale creates blanket pleasant stupor wrapping you. Observe neighbor's hands. Large hands, marked knuckles, skin tanned by outdoor work. Break bread delicately, clean plate methodically. Intrinsic beauty in movements, necessity choreography perfected over centuries. No waste, every crumb, every drop valued. Dinner advances without time markers, could be 20 minutes or hour. Rhythm constant, slow, chewing every bite, extracting essence. Candlelight dimmed bit, wax drips slowly down iron candelabra sides, creating capricious shapes, solidifying instantly. Occasionally someone sighs, satisfied. Another refills cup from clay jug, circulating hand to hand. Liquid falling, sound like small brook midst silence. Accept jug when reaches you, feeling cold damp surface. Pour bit more dark earthy ale in cup. Look pewter plate bottom. Metal, now clean thanks last bread piece, shows marks hundreds knives passed before. Map untold stories, past banquets, overcome winters. Feel connected, all sat same bench, ate same plate, sought refuge, same hall. Hunger sensation disappeared completely, replaced by heavy, comforting fullness. Body, nourished, enters active rest state. Digestion demands energy, mind allowed wonder, floating golden smoky room atmosphere. Austere banquet reaching natural end. No elaborate desserts,
Only perhaps roasted apples someone brings on wooden tray, wrinkled brown, smelling cooked sweetness. Take one. Skin breaks easily, inner pulp soft, hot, sweet, perfect contrast to salty. Eat fruit slowly, feeling natural sugar comfort. Around, some diners start leaning back, resting back against table or stretching legs under bench. Voice murmur starts rising very slightly, but remains low, hoarse, confidential. Stay there, hands circling ceramic cup, utilizing last freshness vestiges, or perhaps maintaining contact earth formed it. Food fulfilled purpose, anchored to present moment, erasing outside worries, erasing cold, erasing time. Here, this table, surrounded people, for now, all exists.
Deep peace, born satiety's simple company, settles bones, preparing long, silent night ahead. Chapter 12. Tales by the Fire. With a full stomach, you settle near the fireplace while a deep voice narrates ancient legends about saints and winter miracles, and your eyes follow the dance of shadows on the ceiling. With the last taste of malt ale fading on your palate and the stew's warmth settling in your stomach, you feel a pleasant heaviness begin to claim your limbs. Dinner has ended, but the night barely begins its slow journey toward dawn. Without need for words, diners rise from oak benches with paused movements, almost choreographed by centuries of custom. Sound of wood rubbing stone floor is soft, muffled by dry straw mats covering high traffic zones. Guided by primal instinct, you head toward great fireplace dominating north wall, immense stone mouth blackened by countless winters' smoke, where thick pine and oak logs consume with deliberate slowness.
Someone placed sheepskins, coarse wool cushions, semicircle front hearth. You drop onto one. Wool rough to touch but comforting. Hard floor feels solid, stable under body. Stretch legs toward heat, feeling fire temperature traverse boot soles, warm, tired feet. Air here smells different rest house, smells boiling resin, ancient ash, sweet earthy aroma, wood turning charcoal. Watch flames, not furious, aggressive, dance hypnotic cadence, licking log bark, releasing small sparks rising chimney draft like ephemeral stars seeking night sky. Around, others settle. Dinner silence transformed expectant murmur, very faint. No strident laughs, discussions. Moment calm. Elder, face furrowed wrinkles looking ancient road maps, sits low stool, edge light. Profile outlines against orange glow, becoming timeless silhouette, memory guardian, story weaver. Hear throat clear, deep raspy sound, like stones rolling river bottom. When start speaking, voice low, deep hum seeming born house soil itself.
Doesn't look you anyone particular, milky eyes fixed embers, reading events about narrate. In nights like this, begins, voice fills empty space between fire crackle, distant wind howl. When snow covers paths, world holds breath, veils become thin. Tells legend saint walked barefoot ice, carrying nothing but iron lantern and faith. Describes scene mentally while narrates, visualize dark forest, trees laden white, branches bowing winter weight. Elder voice monotone, lacking urgency, making incredibly relaxing. each phrase soft wave reaching shore, retreating. Narrates how, according ancients, deep hour Christmas Eve, stable animals acquire human speech gift. Asks imagine old ox, grey donkey, chewing hay in darkness, conversing whispers before light birth. Peaceful image, no conflict story, only wonder sacred stillness. Imagine animal hot vapor in cold stable air, clean straw smell, closed doors of security. Eyes heavy with sleep and heat rise above the fire toward the ceiling.
Dark wooden beams cross room side, holding house history weight. Firelight projects long dancing shadows wood plaster. Watch shadows stretch, shrink, imitating narration rhythm. One shadow looks tall tree swaying in wind, another hunched traveler silhouette. No fear forms, night companions, benevolent specters born light in matter. Follow movement, particular shadow, dark spot sliding gently master beam, disappearing corner gloom, reappear flame stroke stokes fire. Slow dance, silhouette theater mind, half asleep, interlaces elder words. Narrator changes story barely realizing, transitions fluid, autumn, winter passage. Now speaks wild hunt, but not threat, procession spirits cleaning sky, sweeping clouds leaving starway. Voice lowers tone more, becoming vibrant purr, speaks leaving milk bowl threshold, peace offering transit other side. Feel heat cheeks, delicious contrast cold memory entering. Body sinks deeper skins. Wall stone backrest, though hard, offers firm support. Feel anchored, protected. Medieval house, thick stone mortar walls, fortress against elements. Inside here, time seems stop. No tomorrow, pending tasks, biting cold. Only exists moment, voice, fire, shadow. Elder pauses long. No one interrupts, only hear logs snap split, releasing golden spark torrent. Sound own breathing becomes slow, deep. Someone other side fire shifts, adjusting cape. Rustic fabric sounds strangely loud in stillness. Resumes words speak bees, says holy night, bees hives hum praise psalm. Imagine small golden insects grouped a heat, vibrating unison, wooden box, darkness. Image warm, golden, vibrant, makes feel part immense life web sleeping, waiting under winter mantle. Narration seeks no climax or surprising moral. Litany memories, reaffirmation world order sense, even years longest darkness. Words miracle, snow, light, home, repeat rosary beads, weaving invisible blanket over shoulders. Eyelids weigh tons. Every blink it takes longer open. Ceiling shadows blurry, losing defined forms, becoming gray amber clouds. Elder voice seems recede, speaking other side deep valley. No, only meters away. Concentrate heat, radiating fire. Feel dries clothes dampness, penetrates bones. Ancient heat, same fire warmed generations people same place. Listening variations same stories. Small link, unbroken chain humanity seeking refuge flame. Tale drifts sacred trees, oak, holly. Green persisting, everything else dies. Elder describes intense red holly berries against white snow. Life symbol winter sleep. Visualize red color, small, bright, focal point, white mind's immensity. Little by little, distinction narrator voice, own thoughts begins dissolve.
Did say wind sings ancient names? Imagined? Doesn't matter. Day logic gave way, sleep logic. Feel safe. Feel full. Feel peace. Fire lowered intensity. Now bed pulsing red embers, covered fine white ash layer like snow lava. Room glows dim, intimate. Ceiling shadows quieted, static, vigilant.
And so light returns, always returns.
Chapter 13. The Closing of the Day. Night falls heavy on the world, and you watch as tallow candles are extinguished one by one, shutters are closed, and the house is plunged into an almost absolute and protective darkness. The elder's last word hangs floating in the air, suspended over the heads of those present like a wisp of smoke refusing to dissipate. There is no applause, nor exclamations, nor questions. Only a dense and respectful silence settling over the great hall, occupying the space previously filled by legends of animals and ancient spirits. You feel the weight of history add to the weight of dinner, the weight of warm wine, and the weight of your own eyelids. The narration has ended, but the atmosphere created persists, wrapping you in an invisible blanket of antiquity and belonging. You look toward the fire. What an hour ago was a vigorous dance of tall, crackling flames has now transformed into a geological landscape of glowing embers.
They are like small mountains of gold and ruby, breathing slowly, pulsating with a deep red light that no longer illuminates the room, but simply accompanies it. The heat is still there, but changed. It is no longer aggressive heat, forcing you to turn away. Now it is soft, constant radiation settled in your bones and benchwood, promising to last until dawn. You observe the slow movement of others. No one hurries. In this world, this time, hurry is a concept vanishing with sunset. You see figures rise with ritual slowness, hear rough wool rub wood, tunic whisper, dull sound leather boots, stone slabs, scattered straw. Closing moment house open alive day, folds onto self, protect sleeping belly. See house mistress, matronly serene figure, moves side tables, carries dark metal candle snuffer, follow gaze, hypnotized task repetition, approaches tallow candle, cried wax, iron candelabra hours, flame small, bluish base, yellow tip. Soft, affectionate movement, woman covers flame metal cone. Count mentally, 1, 2. Lifts tool, light gone. Instead, thin white smoke thread, born ascending spiral, dark ceiling beams. Smell arrives instant later, acrid, distinctive, extinguished tallow smell, aroma strangely comforting. End day smell, smell telling brain nothing more do, nothing watch, nothing wait. Woman advances next candle, again movement, again small light death. Room darkening stages, world shrinking, reducing circle increasingly narrow around chimney. Corner shadows lengthen, stretching lazy cats, gaining ground, devouring furniture, tapestry contours. Hear heavier sound, other side room, housemaster managing windows. Turn slowly, observe. Windows small, narrow openings, thick stone walls, designed keep heat in, winter out. Day allowed, gray pale Christmas light, now must sealed. See large calloused man hands grasp solid wood shutters, thick planks, oak, darkened years smoke.
Clack. Wood against wood sound definitive. Then bolt noise. Iron bar, wooden crossbar slides place. Ruck clack. Security sound. Gesture. Outside world ceases exist. Freezing wind howling softly, snowy village, distant forest, empty church, all left out. Inside, only hot air, smoke humanity smell, absolute protection, stone walls. Darkness advances. Only couple candles left lit near door leading upper rooms, agonizing chimney glow. Feel heavy. Limbs seem made soft lead. Relaxation deep, barely feel body contact seat. Watch servants finish gathering last pewter plates, moving with habit efficiency, noiseless, helpful ghosts vanishing in gloom. Someone approaches main door, hall entrance. Oak door, thick, ancient tree trunk, reinforced black iron bands. See lower, great bar.
Huge timber crossing door, locking walls. Timber falling place, sound reverberates chest. Brave deep sound, vibrating floor under feet. House now fortress. Nothing enter, nothing disturb rest. Security sensation total, primitive absolute. No complex locks, alarms, simple physics, wood, stone, interposing unite. Last candle extinguished. Moment, eyes seek desperate reference. Darkness not total immediately. Pupils dilate, seeking light memory. Little by little, reddish ember, glow, chimney becomes only vision source. Dim subterranean light, painting thin contours, blood copper edges. Ceiling beams, black ribs overhead. Tables, long sleeping silhouettes. People, dark lumps, moving rest places. Stand up. Body responds slowness, moving underwater. Walk resting place. No need see clearly. Feet seem no way. Guided time memory, not yours. Recognize intimately. Stone floor cold. Rush mats, skins, cushion steps. Here house breathing. Wood settles. Dry clicks, temperature drops imperceptibly.
Outside, wind tries find crack, whistling very softly, fails. Safe. Reach bed, simple, austere, cozy. Mattress filled fresh straw, aromatic herbs, dried lavender, perhaps rosemary, creaks softly sitting edge. Dried herb smell mixes smoke, creates a soporific perfume, natural, clean. Remove boots, relief immediate. Feet, tired walking frozen village, thank freedom. Strip outer cape, heavy coarse wool. Keep linen underwear, soft, warm skin contact. Lie down. Straw molds body, not modern bed, uniform softness, texture, character, holds firmly. Cover sheepskin, heavy, dense, then thick wool blanket. Blanket weight comforting, crushes gently mattress, immobilizing, forcing surrender rest. Stare up, almost absolute darkness. Chimney embers so dim barely project shadows. Room submerged, deep, velvety black. No street light filtering windows, no electronic blink, no electric hum. Middle Ages darkness, physical entity. Thick substance filling room, entering lungs, slow breath.
Darkness, no fear. Healing darkness, erasing fatigue, resetting mind. Listen, listen, silence. Not empty silence, silence full, latent life. Hear rhythmic breathing, someone sleeping near hearth. Hear cloth rustle. Hear last log crack, break, fall, ash, releasing small spark, rain unseen, imagined. Eyes close, no difference, open, closed. outside darkness, inside darkness, united. Feel day close definitely behind. Preparations, mass, food, tales, folds, stored memory chest. Only exists moment, only exists heat, accumulating skins, only exists stone stillness. Night fallen heavy world, you under, protected, hidden, ready let go, slow dark deep sleep current. All well. House watches, fire sleeps, you finally let go. Chapter 14. Return to sleep. You sink back into the bed, feeling the residual heat of the day fade and your mind slowly shut down, lulled by the deep silence of a Christmas centuries ago. You find yourself standing before the bed in the almost total darkness of the alcove.
The only guide your eyes have is the recent memory of the furniture arrangement and the faint, almost imperceptible reddish glow filtering through the cracks of the wooden door, coming from the last embers of the fireplace in the main hall. Your body feels heavy, a sweet and pleasant burden pulling your shoulders down. It is the weight of a long day, full of winter cold, intense flavors, ancient chants, and whispered stories. Slowly you sit on the edge of the bed. The mattress, filled with fresh, tight straw, crunches softly under your weight. It is not the sterile silence of a modern mattress. It is an organic, rustic sound, reminding you that you are resting on nature itself. You run your hand over the surface of the sheets. They are thick linen, rough to the touch, but clean, and resting on them are heavy wool blankets and tanned furs, promising refuge against the freezing air of the room. You lift your legs and turn, sliding under the covers.
The first contact with the sheets is cold, a brief shock making you shrink instinctively. But you know it is only a matter of moments. You settle in, finding your body's shape in the straw, creating a hollow to your measure. You cover yourself to the chin. The weight of the blankets is considerable. In this time, cover is not light or synthetic. It is mass. It is density. You feel that physical pressure anchor you to the mattress, immobilizing you in a comforting way, as if the bed itself were hugging you to protect you from the night. You close your eyes. The air in the room is cold, crisp, and still. You can feel it on the tip of your nose and on your cheeks, the only fragment of your skin exposed to the house's atmosphere. Every time you inhale, fresh air enters your lungs, purifying you. Every time you exhale, you feel your own breath create a small cloud of invisible heat in front of your face.
Little by little, your body heat begins to radiate and becomes trapped under the wool and skins. A microclimate is created, a bubble of perfect temperature, contrasting deliciously with the room's cold. Your feet, still holding the memory of the stone floor and village snow, start losing that frozen tension. You feel a soft tingling as blood circulates freely, warming your limbs, finger by finger. The house is silent, but it is not an empty silence. It is the dense and deep silence of the Middle Ages. No appliance hums, no distant traffic, no constant electric murmur in walls. Absolute geological silence, heavy as stone. However, paying close attention, tuning ear darkness, house breathes. Hear oak beams settling overhead. Wood, old wise, contracts, night temperature drop, emitting sporadic dry clicks, familiar sounds, not scaring, confirming refuge solidity. Here, far away, winter wind brushing exterior stone walls,
grave, constant whistle, wrapping dwelling.
Knowing wind out there, seeking entrance, not finding, makes feel infinitely safer inside. Fortress impenetrable, outside world, dangers mortal, cold, excluded. Mind starts reviewing, no order concert, last hour's fragments. See candlelight flashes, reflected church chalice. Hear priest monotone, reassuring Latin echo. Feel spiced wine taste throat, honey sweetness, clove spice, sensory memory numbing senses. Remember elder voice by fire, telling remote stories, words weaving dream net around. Images blur, can't hold, dissolve smoke, room darkness. Breathing slows deeper. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Chest rhythm sinks night calm. Feel muscles surrender. Jaw tension disappears. Shoulders drop definitely. Hands resting stomach blankets, open gently, losing force. Darkness behind eyelids, denser, textured. Velvety darkness, no blink lights, distractions. Darkness necessary, true rest. Type rest, modern human forgot. Feel small time immensity, giving peace.
Nothing due, no urgencies, no clocks marking seconds. Night long, extending ocean tranquil dark. Until sun decides rise, rooster sings distant coop, world belongs sleep. Sink deeper straw, bed smell wraps, dried herbs, ancient lavender sheets insect repellent, wood smoke impregnated fiber house, archaic aroma, safety aroma. Feel floating, distinction body bed fades, don't know skin ends, blanket heat begins. Only tranquil consciousness, suspended history, moment past, now soul reality. Knows cold, last physical world connection. Everything else heat, softness. Mind shuts down. Not sudden. Candle consuming slowly, wick falls, liquid wax flame drowns, smoke sigh. Thought stops. Memory stops. Time stops. Let go subterranean sleep current, dragged depths dreamless rest, restorative total, safe, warm, peace. Medieval Christmas watches sleep. Stone wood house mounts guard around. Perfect silence, centuries weight wool blankets. Finally, sleep.